welcome back to my channel. It's Paula here. Now, a few weeks ago I made a video like this one where I read some of my most anticipated releases of this year, and honestly there's so many that are coming out that I'm gonna just keep doing them. I'm gonna make like a little series about me reading anticipated releases for this year. Yeah, this is another installment of that. I feel like a good bunch of my most anticipated books for this year were released in April, and specifically these 3 books I want to read this week. I only have one physical and the other 2 are most likely gonna be digital. I'm most likely gonna be reading them on my Kindle if they do not get here on time, because I did order them, but you know how the mailing system sometimes doesn't work with us. So if they do not come in time, I'll still get them on my Kindle because they're books I'm very excited about. And these 3 books specifically, I am expecting them to be like 4 stars or higher. Like, I have very high hopes on these 3 books. So for my first book of the video, I'm gonna be reading Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abikeyimide. If you saw my bookstore vlog from last week, you'll probably know that I bought this book in Slovakia. So for me, it was just a couple days ago, and I'm very excited to start it. As I say in that video, I have not read Ace of Spades, but I'm very excited for this book. It just gives everything that I like a boarding school with like girls that are kind of sus, a little bit murderous, you know, scary type of vibes. And also I've seen like at the beginning of each part there's kind of like a Hamlet quote, so I'm expecting Shakespeare to have a little bit of a place in the plot or the story in some way, so I'm very excited for that. The last book that I read that had any element of Shakespeare in it, I'm pretty sure was If We Were Villains by Emil Rio, and I really like that book. And another one of my most anticipated released books for this year is Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid, and I read Macbeth when I was in high school, and I think it is probably the only Shakespeare play that I've actually read through and through, so I'm very excited for that. But yeah, moving along from that, this is the book that I'm gonna start reading. Okay, so it's later in the day and I've reached part 2 of Where Sleeping Girls Lie. Oh, I didn't notice, but I kind of cracked the spine a little bit while I was putting my post-it. Oh, yeah, I left off here. This is a little, I wouldn't say annotation necessarily, it's more of a, at the beginning of each part there's like a little Hamlet quote, and I was just interested to see whether that was gonna like foreshadow something in the story. So I looked for the scene in the, like for example, part 1 is that something is written in the state of Denmark, and it says like Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 4, William Shakespeare. So I looked up that specific scene because I personally have never read Hamlet before. So I looked it up, and then I kind of like put what the scene was and what the comment might mean. So for example, like something is written in the state of Denmark is like usually to mark if something, you know, feels corrupt or is just wrong in some way. So I'm kind of doing that for every part that I reach to see a little bit of how that might be foreshadow something in the story. But yeah, so part 2 starts at page 241. So I read over 200 pages. Like, it's interesting because it's been 240 pages and it still feels like we're just at the beginning of the story. Like, okay, wait, I don't think I ever told you what this book is about. Yeah, seems about right. So basically it's about this girl called Shade Hussein. I think that's how you pronounce it. There's like this part in the first chapter where they explain to you how to pronounce it, but I was very confused, so I had to like Google a random interview with Farida Abikeyimide to see how she pronounced the name, and apparently it's Shade, so I'm just gonna call her Shade. Yeah, But basically, this book is about Sade and how she enrolls into a prestigious boarding school. So basically, a lot of rich people. She's also a rich person, technically. Her parents passed though, so she's all alone. She's like virtually the last one in her family. She has like distant relatives, but doesn't look like they're close, I guess. So basically, she's been surrounded by death most of her life. And then she gets to this boarding school and she meets this girl, which is her like big sister thing in the school, where she basically is gonna give her a tour and like help her out throughout the year, because she is coming in like a couple of weeks after the year started. So she meets her and then she meets her best friend, and that big sister Elizabeth is also her roommate. So she meets Elizabeth and her friend Baz, and they had like a nice day together, but then the next day, poof, Elizabeth absolutely gone. No one knows where she is. There's like a police investigation, and then supposedly, according to the synopsis, another student is gonna be found dead at some point. I'm guessing it's another student. It just says a student is found dead, so I'm gonna guess it's a different one. But yeah, we're 240 pages in, and so far we've obviously met, I think, all of the characters. So Elizabeth and Baz, and then like the popular girls at the school, and then Sade's like big brother, kind of like the same thing Elizabeth is to her. Like there's also a male version of it. So basically it's that, and they're like trying to figure out what the hell happened to Elizabeth, because Baz is convinced that Elizabeth did not just take her things and leave, especially because she did not take anything. Like she just disappeared. So they're kind of like trying to figure that out together, because even though Sade doesn't know these people, they spent like a whole day together, and now she feels kind of like they're her friends. There's like elements of like Morse code in here, and also like an anagram, I think. I'm very bad at anagrams, so I will 100% not know what it means, but that's fine. It looks like there's a lot of mysteries here, so that's very, very exciting. I do think this is gonna be all I read for today, so we'll see what we uncover while we read tomorrow. I kept reading yesterday until like 2 a.m. Oh my god, the book was so interesting. Like everything kept happening so fast, and like shit was going down. I don't know, it had me hooked so much. I just couldn't stop reading, and I read a lot. Like I'm in page 461, so I read like over 200 pages yesterday. I don't know, this was just so exciting. Everything was happening. We were getting like snippets of like the full story here, more about like Sade's background and like what actually was going down inside this boarding school. And let me tell you, wild. The things that went down at this boarding school, horrible, truly horrible. Like I would like to say that I can't imagine something like this ever happening in real life, but 100%, it 100% happens in real life, and that is just so scary for especially any woman. The reality of this book is so scary. Yeah, and honestly it makes me very angry, because it feels like anything that we do is just so useless basically, which is a very sad outlook. It's a very sad way to look at life, but it definitely feels that way, especially when reading books like this. So basically we finally found out who the student that was killed is, which honestly, I'm feeling conflicted. Did that student deserve to die? Absolutely, absolutely, they deserve to die. But I just feel like I would have loved for that student to like keep living and just suffer the consequences of their fucking actions, because death feels like too little punishment for this person. But I also know that this book seems very realistic on how the world functions, which also means that people like this person usually get happy endings. They're usually not reprimanded or punished in any way or form. So even though I feel like, you know, that was like an easy way out, I feel like it is the most just way this could have ended. But I have a lot of opinions on this, and I am so angry and so pissed at the situation and the reality of this book. So we love that. We still have no idea where Elizabeth is though. Like, we got more of a little kind of like background on what was happening before she disappeared. Like, what was she doing, like, secretly behind, you know, behind the scene. But we still don't know what the hell happened to her. How many pages do I still have left? Okay, I have like 100 pages, so I can finish this today. We're only at the last 100 pages and we still don't know where Elizabeth is. We don't even know if she's alive or dead. But yeah, it kept me so interesting, and the whole like background story that Sade finally like explains, like her whole childhood and everything, it explains so much, and also it's nuts. It's actually nuts. And how it links her to like the school, it's wild. It's wild. It's wild. So yeah, I'm very excited. I am so close to finish it. I'm hoping I can finish it today. We finally know what happened to Elizabeth. Finally. Okay, so I was like laying in bed, so wearing my clip was very, very uncomfortable, but also it's way too hot to have my hair just like down. It's fine. But I finished Where Sleeping Girls Lie. Oh, I don't know what to say about this book. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the ending, and then I'll talk about my opinion at the end of this video. But at the end, we finally know what happened with Elizabeth, which great, because it literally waited until like the last like 10 chapters of this book to tell us. But we know what happened to her. We also found out a little of like the background of what she was doing and what was happening to her right before she disappeared, like literally the day before she disappeared, and how it ended. I feel like the unveiling of who murdered the student was a little bit anticlimactic. Like, it was the random person that no one thought, like, that no one even suspected, because it was so random. The author did put some like clues in there, but with the amount of things that were happening to the main character and how focused we were on her and her friends, the fact that the murderer was some random person, that was kind of weird. But the little like anagram thing and the Morse code and everything was fun. I was not expecting the anagram to be what it was, but to be fair, I don't know, I feel like I usually know where stories goes, but with this one I was completely like out of it. Like, I knew some of the bad things that were happening to the characters, like I knew about the overall plot of this, but I did not know where it was going, like who was gonna be murdered, like who did the murder, and how everything was gonna end. That I did not know, and how like everything linked together. It really was a surprise for me, caught me off guard. But yeah, it just, to be fair, it just made me very angry at men and very scared of men. And I feel like, unfortunately, that is a reality for a lot of us. I was just so angry, and the fact that there's not really like a happy ending. I mean, there's a somewhat happy ending in which our main character ends up in a finally good situation where she can like be happy. But the injustices committed in this book are not resolved. Like, there's absolutely no justice for the victims of this book, and it just is so heartbreaking. And the fact that you know that this is how it usually ends, like in real life too, against like big cases with powerful people committed by men that, you know, end up like accusing the victim, blaming the victim or just like disregarding the victim. So it was very hard to read, and it made me very, very angry. Like genuinely, I wanted to set something on fire angry. So yeah, that was the end of Our Sleeping Girls Life. Now I think I'm gonna wait till tomorrow for the next book. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day, and guess what arrived? Okay, so I was thinking that if this didn't arrive on time, I would just, you know, get it on my Kindle and read it from there. But it came literally at the perfect time. Yesterday I finished Where Sleeping Girls Lie, and obviously today I wanted to start the next one. And I was very worried that this was not gonna get here on time. It did. So let me give you a little unboxing. These books, they were both announced last year. And since then, they've been on my little like shopping cart. And I knew I was gonna get them, so I did, and I am so excited. I have one other book from this author, and I don't like physically own any of the books by the other author, but I've read most of the books by these two authors, and I've loved them so much. They're a bit different, but I'm so excited. Okay, so the first one is The Age of Magical Overthinking by Amanda Montel. If you've seen my reading nonfiction for a week, I read her other book, Word Slut, last month, and I loved it so much. It's one of my favorite nonfiction now, and she came up with another one this year, and I'm so excited to finally read it. And then the other one, which is also very exciting, because I feel like although I read a lot of romance, I don't have that many romance books. And one of my favorite series last year was the Chestnut Spring series. So I got Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I actually love the cover of this book. I think it's so cute. It's 100% gonna go into like my little pink area of my shelves, except I don't actually have space for these on my shelves, so it's gonna go on my book cart. It was supposed to be a TBR cart, but now it's just a book cart because I literally don't have space in my bookshelves for these books, but that's fine. So yeah, these two books, I've been waiting for them since they were announced last year, and I'm so excited to finally read them. I feel like since, you know, yesterday's read was it made me very angry. It made me very angry. I think I'm gonna try and go for something more like, you know, fun and cute. So I am gonna be reading Wild Love by Elsie Silver now. Let's see how it goes. So I reached chapter 17 of Wild Love. Honestly, I feel like as always I completely forgot to tell you what this book is about. So this book is about Ford Grant, which is Willa's brother, from the Chestnut Spring series, Heartless, which by the way, Heartless is my favorite Chestnut Springs book. Like I think it's out of the 5 that there are, I think that's the only one that I gave 5 stars. I loved Heartless so much, and Willa is one of my favorite female characters in that whole series. So it's very exciting to have her brother be the main character in this one. And yeah, so far it's good. I'm really enjoying it. So basically the male character is Ford Grant, which is Willa's brother, and then the main character is Rosalie, and Rosalie is Ford's friend's sister. It's like brother's best friend trope type thing, and it's very interesting because they spent most of their childhood together in like a kind of frenemy type way, because like they were friends, but they also like very annoying with each other, and like they pull pranks and they call each other names and stuff. I don't know, it feels very cute. And there's some like, there's this whole aspect with like her diary from when they were little and how she would like write things about him in it, and now she is taking the page and like showing him. So it's very cute to get glimpses of how they were before. So yeah, I don't know, it's very cute. Also, main thing in the plot is that one day out of nowhere there's this girl that shows up at Fort Grant's studio and she's like, hey, I'm your daughter. So I think that was very fun, especially how it came to be, because it's not like a situation where like there was like an unknown pregnancy or anything. Like he donated his sperm. So I don't know, that was interesting, new, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Okay, so I forgot to record anything yesterday. That is because I kept reading what I love and I finished it. But the reason that I forgot to record anything is because I was so immersed in this book. I just kept reading and reading and reading, and I finished it. It was great. I honestly, I don't know how long the Chestnut Springs series is because I read it all on my Kindle. But this book is 450 pages. And I think that that's quite long. But again, I was so enthralled in it, I didn't even realize that it was this long. I just kept reading and reading. And oh my god, I love this so much. Ford and Rosie, I love them so much. And also the whole thing with Cora. Cora is Ford's daughter that appears out of nowhere. It was just so cute. So cute. And I don't know, I liked it so much. But yeah, I finished it in like 2 days. Such an easy, fast read. But since I finished that yesterday, I want to start now with the other book that I got the other day, which is The Age of Magical Overthinking. I have no idea what this book is about, which is okay. I read the other books that Amanda Montell has published, so that was Cultish and Wordslat. And I thought Cultish was very fun and interesting because cults are always so intrinsically interesting for everyone. And then Wordslat, I loved it so much because I love linguistics, I love studying new languages, and it just, I don't know, in my brain, it works. I just love it so much, and I thought it was very interesting and I understood a lot, so that was great. So I'm very excited to dive into this book, because also, look at the cover. But yeah, we'll see what Amanda Montell has to say about this and what I think of it. Yesterday I reached chapter 6, page 107. So that's how much I read. I'm pretty sure this is like half of the book, because all of these here are references. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm halfway through, so I'm thinking I'll probably be able to finish it today. My thoughts. I don't know, I feel like this topic is very different from what I would expect Amanda Montell to write. And the only reason I think that is because this doesn't have to do with language that much. I feel like with the Cultish book, even though it was about cults, it talked about how cults used language to like lure people in and how that language influenced the people around them. And then Wordstat obviously is completely about linguistics, but this one, it feels more like psychology in a way. Like it talks about biases, like our personal biases, kind of in general, and how they influence people and how they can be helpful and useful and completely useless and harmful. So that is very interesting. And there is big commentary on how these biases affect our online presence or how we approach especially social media. And I think that's very interesting, since I basically just started being a bigger part of social media. I feel like before it was like maybe I posted 1 or 2 pictures on Instagram and that would be it. But now I'm actually sharing with a camera, with people, my thoughts. I am engaging more with people on social media in general. So it's very interesting to see how our biases make us see social media and how we become or not dependent on them. So that's definitely very interesting. I do have to say I have underlined a lot, this time with pencil. I think at some point I will go over it with my highlighters and everything, but for now I'm just gonna stay with the pencil. And I also did a little like definition post-it on every chapter, because every chapter says what the bias they're talking about is, and while she explains it, I feel like it can get lost with how much she talks and how much she writes. So it's just a little reminder of what it is, so I can like go back and be like, oh, this was a chapter that talked about this. Hopefully I can finish this today. Hi there! So it's the end of the week, which means it's also the end of this video. At the beginning of this video, I believe that I kind of guessed or predicted that all of the books in this video were gonna be a 4 or higher stars, because I've been waiting for these books for a long time to come out and I thought that I was gonna love them. So I was like, okay, let's read them and figure out if these are indeed high ratings for me. Now that doesn't necessarily apply to The Age of Magical Overthinking, because this one is a non-fiction and I don't rate those, but I was still expecting to really like it. Let's talk a little bit about them and see if I was right or not. So the first book that I read was Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Iyimide. This book, oh my god, I don't know what to say about this book. Honestly, it was a very wild ride. I think I said it already, but just a very quick overview. This book is about our main character, Sade, as she enters a new school, a boarding school. Mystery, girls killing people, that's kind of what I expected. And it delivered, honestly. It was so good and it delved into way more than I thought it was gonna delve into. I don't know, I thought the story was very, very interesting. It definitely made me angry though. Like, I was genuinely so upset because like there's so many injustices committed in this book and I don't think any of those end up being punished in any level. There's one that you could potentially consider that was punishment, but I feel like that was too little of a punishment. And yeah, that's me being hateful, but that's fine. I would tell you to check trigger warnings because it has a lot of mentions of sexual violence, obviously murder, and then death of parents or close ones. I still really liked it. I enjoyed it. I do think some parts were dragged a bit, so I'm gonna give it I think a 4 stars because I really liked it, but there was some parts where I had to like make myself pick it up. Like they dragged a little bit, but like from like the middle to the end, I just couldn't stop reading. And then their love story, obviously it was very much a subplot, but even though we still got glimpses of it and I kind of knew what was happening because I already knew that this was a queer book, it still kind of happened like right at the end of it, so that wasn't great. But the whole story in itself, it was great. It made me very angry, but I loved it, so 4 stars. Now the second book that I read is What I Love by Elsie Silver. I think I said it before, I loved the Chestnut Spring series. I read it last year and my favorite book out of those was Heartless, which is Willa's book, and this book is about Willa's brother. So basically Willa's brother is a millionaire. He basically just up and moved to the countryside, kind of, and one day a random 12-year-old girl shows up and she's like, hey, you're my dad. So he discovers that he has a random kid, and then soon after his like frenemy from when they were children shows up and he's been in love with this woman forever. So that was so cute. I loved it so much. I really like Rosalie as a character and I thought her whole character like really resonated with me, with the whole, I was one of the first ones in my family to be in university. I was supposed to be like this big shot at this big city, but I'm just so tired. I want to be home. That just really hit straight home. Like that is so much of what I felt in this past like year and a half. So seeing it like in here, I don't know, I really liked it. I resonated with her a lot and her whole like frenemies thing, like from childhood to how they are now with Ford. It was just so cute. I really liked it. It's not a 5. And I don't know why. I don't know why it's not a 5, but it was kind of close. I think I would give this one a 4.5 because I really like Elsie Silver's romances, and this one was, I don't know, I just finished it so quickly. And before I say anything else, I just want to be very clear. This 4-star and this 4.5 star have absolutely no resemblance. Like the standard that I hold thriller YA books is definitely not the standard that I hold romances. Like when I rate them based off of vibes. And this romance did what it had to do. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's better than this book. so take that with a grain of salt. And then my last book was The Age of Magical Overthinking. As I said, this one was kind of different to other Amanda Montel's books because her other books delved more into the specifics of language, so like how language influences society and our culture in regards to gender, like in WordSlat. The Age of Magical Overthinking, I think it was more of like psychology nonfiction. It talks a lot about our personal biases and how we react to things, and whether that is in part natural but also in excess very harmful. So it was very interesting. I do have to say, I feel like her language in this one was a bit more complicated than in Cultish and WordSlat. I don't know if it's either because she used more specific wording for the things that she talks about in this book, and that is just knowledge that I don't have because it's not my native language and I don't know the terms, or if it was just in general more academic. I don't know, but it was harder for me to read. But yeah, it was fun. It's definitely made me analyze more of who I am, how I act, and what kind of biases I do have the most, especially how those biases act towards my presence in social media, I guess, and how I act in and regarding to social media. So that was definitely very interesting. I did underline, I don't know if you can see, but I did underline a lot of it, so I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was nearly as good as WordSlat was, but it was definitely at the level of Cultish, so very enjoyable overall. So yeah, these are the books I read this video. I am happy to say that my predictions were very accurate. All of these were either a 4 or higher than a 4, not including this one because again, non-fiction, but I still really liked it, so I'm gonna count it in, because why not? So yeah, I was writing all of my predictions, and that is very exciting because there's so many books coming out this year and I am so excited for so many. I still have not encountered a anticipated release that I have been disappointed by. There's also a lot of months left in the year, so we'll see. But so far I'm very excited with my reads. If you've read any of this book, or if you have any of them in your TBR, leave a comment, tell me if you like them or if you think you're gonna like them. If you're still here, thank you so much for lasting until the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely want to keep doing these videos because I love reading my anticipated releases. Again, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. That'd be great. I would really appreciate that. I guess see you in the next one. Bye!